exciting tool. It's a very powerful, very creative tool that actually was released by Google, believe it or not, that you can create a podcast episode completely from any source. So that's what we're going to do today. Hello everyone. Welcome to one more episode of Unlocking the AI Advantage podcast. And this is your host, Ramesh Danta. Today, I have a very exciting episode, something that we have not done ever before. It's actually creating a podcast episode from a very creative tool that actually was released by Google, believe it or not, that you can create a podcast episode completely from any source, whether it's a website URL, whether it's some transcript that you have out there, and it creates an episode with voices that you would hear, so it will blow you away. So that's what we're going to do today. But before that, I have another exciting news for you. Today, we have a sponsor, and this episode of the Unlocking the AI Advantage podcast is actually brought to you by our friends at BYLDD. BYLDD. BYLDD is a development agency that specializes in helping early stage startups build and launch scalable, revenue generating software businesses. For just $10,000 and about a month of work, BYLDD will get you your validated product up and running. Can companies that work with BYLDD grow big? Absolutely. They are collaborated with startups that have gone on to join Y Combinator, the most successful incubator that ever there is, and raise funds at 10-figure valuations. BYLDD is your go-to partner for building your first product, laying the infrastructure, and setting the foundation for companies of any size. Head over to BYLDD.com, build.com, to chat with Ayush. Let him know you have heard about it through the AI Entrepreneurs podcast. So that is BYLDD.com, and that's our sponsor that's bringing you today's episode. All right, so now let's head over to what we have done with Notebook LM. So first, let me show you, let me share the screen here. And my screen, let me, give me 1 second. Here, so entire screen, let me share. And I want to show you this tool, Notebook LM. Okay, this is notebooklm.google. You can head over there. And so what we have done here is that you could give a source to the Notebook LM, and it can create an entire podcast episode for you. So what we have done here is we have taken one of the newsletters that we have published recently, the AI Health Tech Insider newsletter. You might have been getting this newsletter. If you have not been getting, go ahead and actually subscribe to this. So this particular newsletter is a text form. So it has multiple items here. For example, the very first lead item, news item, is Harvard unveils chief ChatGPT inspired AI for cancer care. So likewise, we have multiple news articles in this one. And we just fed this into Notebook LM. And it has created an entire podcast episode with two people, one male voice and the other one is a female voice. So I'll come back at the end of the episode to discuss more about what you can do with this. So with that, so let me stop the recording now and hand it off to the Notebook LM generated podcast episode. I'll come back towards the end.
AI in healthcare. It's a phrase that used to make me think of robot doctors in some distant future. But the future is here, apparently.
We're diving into, you guessed it, AI Health Tech Insider again today.
We're always ahead of the curve. And this issue is chock full of things I never even imagined.
Like AI that helps diagnose cancer, speeds up discovering new medicines, even monitors patients in critical care with crazy accuracy.
Luckily, our expert is here to bring it all down for us. So should we jump right in?
Let's do it.
Okay. This CHIF thing caught my eye right away, straight out of Harvard Medical School. AI for diagnosing cancer. Ha.
Yeah, and it's causing a stir for a good reason. What makes CAIF different, I think, is how it can look at those tumor images and be right like 94% of the time, better than a lot of what we use now even.
So it's not just, yep, that's cancer. It's giving you more.
It is. It can actually give you a good idea of how long a patient might have and even tailor treatment plans better. Hold on.
So instead of just biopsies and the usual scans, CHIEF is like another layer of what? Analysis, catching things earlier.
Exactly, and get this. They've tested CHIEF in 24 hospitals globally.
Whoa, so this isn't just some lab experiment then.
Not at all. It's getting real-world testing, becoming more and more refined every day. That's huge, because for any of this tech,
To really change healthcare, it can't just be stuck in a lab, right? It's got to work everywhere.
100%. Oak, ready for something that sounds made up?
Alpha Proteo. Drug discovery has always been a long, expensive process. But this sounds like a game changer.
It really is. Alpha Proteo uses AI, believe it or not, to actually design brand new proteins, like the building blocks of new drugs.
Okay, but how? That's incredible.
Right. The possibilities are huge, especially for diseases where we haven't found good treatments yet.
They mentioned it worked on the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein, right? That's got to be huge, especially now.
It is. Alpha Proteo made binders, basically for the spike protein, and those could mean new COVID treatments, maybe even ways to prevent it.
Wow, so AI is not just catching up to health problems. It's getting ahead of them.
Yes, that's amazing. It's not perfect, obviously, but man, Alpha Proteo is a powerful new tool.
Okay, from the lab to, well, the ICU. This is wild. Mount Sinai researchers, they've made this AI tool, and it monitors brain pressure, what they call intracranial pressure, in real time.
And here's the kicker. It does all this without needing those risky procedures they use now.
What do they do now?
Right now, they have to drill into the skull, which has its risks.
I'll say, not my idea of a good time.
So this AI is a huge step forward, making things less invasive for the patient. This tool basically takes data they already have in the ICU ECG, pulse oximetry, and analyzes it with AI to tell them what's up with brain pressure in real time.
So it's like an extra set of eyes, only way smarter, watching the patient constantly catching problems before they get worse.
You got it. And this study was huge, by the way. The results were amazing. The team's actually trying to get breakthrough device status from the FDA now.
Which means
if they get it, this tech could become how they do things in neurocritical care everywhere. That's incredible.
from brains to hearts, AI is everywhere.
Mayo Clinic's gone and developed an AI digital stethoscope. It's been in the news because it can find this serious heart problem pregnant women can get.
Peripartum cardiomyopathy. And it's a tough one because it often gets missed with the usual ways of checking. The symptoms can be easy to mistake for normal pregnancy stuff, which unfortunately means it's diagnosed late and treatments delayed.
So this AI stethoscope, it actually listens differently.
It really does. It analyzes heart sounds way more accurately than we can, picking up on these tiny changes that could be a sign the heart muscle is weakening.
Which is bad.
Very bad. And in Nigeria, where this condition is sadly more common, they did a trial. And this AI stethoscope found twice as many cases of heart failure as the doctors did just listening normally. Twice as many, wow. Exactly. This isn't just about fancy tech. This could change how we address these inequalities in healthcare, get better outcomes for patients who need it most. It's like having a top-notch cardiologist's ear.
But for everyone, making sure even the tiniest signs of trouble don't get missed. This is really something.
It really is.
It's amazing to see how AI is transforming healthcare from the ground up. But it's not just about the technology itself. It's about the impact it's having on patients, doctors, and the very way we approach medicine.
Take this next article in the AI Health Tech Insider newsletter. It's all about the often invisible but crucial aspect of cancer treatment: managing side effects. It's one thing to have powerful therapies, but how do we minimize the collateral damage?
It's a question that's gaining more and more attention as we see the rise of personalized and highly targeted therapies, especially in oncology. The article highlights a new AI tool developed at Mass General Brigham that can predict and detect immune-related adverse events, or IRAEs, in patients undergoing immunotherapy.
Okay, So just to clarify, IREs are those side effects that occur when the immune system goes into overdrive while fighting cancer, right?
Exactly. These IRAs can range from mild inflammation to more serious conditions that can affect vital organs. What's challenging is that these side effects can often be difficult to predict and can manifest in a variety of ways.
So this new tool is basically giving doctors a heads up, helping them intervene early and prevent these side effects from becoming more serious.
That's the idea. The researchers behind this AI tool use a large language model, similar to the technology powering ChatGPT, but trained on vast amounts of medical data to analyze patient records and predict the likelihood of developing specific IRAs.
So it's like having an AI detective scanning patient data for any early warning signs of trouble.
You could say that. The study showed that this AI tool was able to identify IRAs with over 90% accuracy, even detecting cases that were missed during manual review of patient records.
Wow, that's impressive. It's like giving oncologists an extra pair of expert eyes, constantly monitoring their patients' health and intervening before things escalate.
And what's remarkable is that this AI model is open source, meaning it can be readily implemented across different hospitals and healthcare systems without any licensing fees or restrictions.
So it's not just for large research centers with massive computing power. This tool could potentially make a real difference in smaller hospitals, even those with more limited resources.
Absolutely. This accessibility is crucial for bridging the gap between cutting-edge research and real-world clinical practice. It's about making these innovations available to everyone, not just a select few.
The benefits of AI in healthcare shouldn't just be for a few. It's important to ensure these technologies reach those who need them most with fair access. For example, a clinical trial in Nigeria used an AI-powered stethoscope to detect heart failure in pregnant women. This shows how AI can have a positive global impact, improving healthcare in underserved areas.
That's right. This trial is a perfect example of how AI can be used to address health disparities and improve healthcare outcomes in resource-limited settings. As we mentioned earlier, peripartum cardiomyopathy or pregnancy-related heart failure is more common in regions like sub-Saharan Africa.
It's incredibly frustrating because often these are preventable deaths with early diagnosis and treatment.
Exactly. The AI-enabled stethoscope listens to heart sounds and detects small changes that may signal a weakening heart muscle, a key sign of heart failure. It's highly accurate in spotting these issues early.
So it's like having a cardiologist's ear trained on thousands of heartbeats, listening to every patient every time.
A very apt analogy. The trial results were quite promising, with the AI stethoscope detecting twice as many cases of heart failure compared to the standard method of listening with a traditional stethoscope.
That's a significant difference. Just imagine the lives that could be saved by simply integrating this AI-powered tool into routine prenatal care. Not just in Nigeria, but in other parts of the world where access to specialized cardiac care is limited.
Absolutely. And what's even more exciting is that this technology has implications beyond pregnancy-related heart conditions. The AI algorithms can be trained to detect a variety of heart murmurs and abnormalities, potentially leading to earlier diagnosis and treatment of a wider range of cardiovascular diseases.
It's like having a pocket-sized echocardiogram available to anyone, anywhere. This is truly game-changing stuff. So we've spent this whole deep dive looking at the incredible ways AI is like revolutionizing healthcare.
Diagnosing things earlier, personalizing treatments. It's like we're on the verge of, I don't know, a whole new era of medicine.
But, and this is a big, but we gotta be careful, right? We gotta be smart about how we use it. This AI Health Tech Insider issue.
They touch on that, and well, I'm curious to hear your take on all this.
Yeah, it's definitely something people are talking about more and more, especially doctors.
As AI takes on these bigger roles in healthcare, we've really got to make sure those roles are crystal clear.
It's like in those sci-fi movies, you know. Yeah, where the robots get too smart.
But here, it's not about AI becoming self-aware. It's about making sure it helps us, not the other way around.
Exactly. And that means making sure these AI systems are developed responsibly and used the right way.
So how do we do that? What does that look like in the real world?
It starts with really thorough testing. Like way beyond just, is it accurate? We need to know how these AI systems are making decisions, what data they're using, and where they might fall short.
So it's like quality control, but for algorithms.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. As these systems get fed more real-world data, we gotta keep an eye out for any weird side effects or biases creeping in.
That makes sense. We wouldn't just release a new drug without testing it like crazy and then watching it closely after it's out there. I should be the same, especially since it can really impact people's lives.
Absolutely. We're responsible for making sure these powerful tools are used safely and ethically. And that always means putting the patient first.
It's kind of like we're exploring a whole new world here, We have this amazing technology.
That can change healthcare for the better, but we gotta be excited and cautious at the same time.
Always gonna ask the tough questions and make sure AI is building a healthier and fairer future for everybody.
And if you're as fascinated by AI and healthcare as we are, do yourself a favor and check out AI Health Tech Insider.
It's an incredible resource, and they're clearly just as passionate about the ethical side of this as they are about the mind-blowing breakthroughs.
So from both of us here at The Deep Dive, thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the future of medicine.
This is Ramesh Danta again. Hope you have enjoyed a podcast episode that we have produced, but I was not in it. So it's not your typical podcast episode that has come out of Unlocking the AI Advantage podcast. It's totally different. And so all we did today, again, to summarize, is we use this tool called Notebook LM from Google. Exciting tool. So very powerful. And we have fed to that tool. For example, let me go back and share my screen here. And so what we have done is we gave our newsletter, AI Health Tech newsletter, the latest episode number 14, as a source to Notebook LM. Okay, so the interface is something like this. Here, Notebook LM, and we fed that particular newsletter as a source to this tool, and it has produced that podcast episode all by itself with those two voices it randomly picked. So it's amazing, and I don't know whether it's good or bad, but so it could potentially replace me as a podcast host going forward. So we would like to hear more from you about what can be done. And so this was the episode. And again, one more time, this particular episode was brought to you by BYLDD.com, build.com, and head over to build.com, talk to Ayush, and tell Ayush that you've heard about build.com from Unlocking the AI Advantage podcast and Ramesh Tanta. So with that, it's a wrap for today, and take care.